Hi, my name is Alyssa. This is Nick, Katie, Miles, and Lynsey, and we're here to talk to you today about an interactive program called Addiction After Hours. But first, imagine this. A 65-year-old male is taken to the ER where he is admitted with the same pain that brought him into the ER last week. He states that his pain is 100 times worse than his last visit. So eventually he's admitted to a unit in the hospital where he's taken through the traditional IV fluids, antibiotics, and a number of consults from different physicians to try and find the source of the pain. But again, like previous visits, his source of pain cannot be found. So upon discharge, the surgeon increases his home medication so that he may feel a little bit pain relief. But the problem here is that he came into the hospital a couple months ago for a surgery that he was going to have. And with his pre-appointment before surgery, the surgeon stated that he would feel so much better after surgery and that he would not have any more pain. But after surgery, he was not properly educated on his medications, so because of that, he kept taking the pain medication because he thought that since he was in pain, he needed to keep taking the medications instead of taking it on the bottle, as they said, as directed. He didn't fully understand what as directed meant. So because of this, it created his addiction. In the previous year, there was 2.1 million Americans that incorrectly used prescription medications at home. And per day, this accounts for 5,750 occurrences per day. So I'm going to hand it over to Miles, and he'll talk to you about the problem pain.
So our main problem pain is the lack of pre and post surgery education on taking prescription pain pills. So there's three different types of surgeries that a person can have. Emergency, which is a surgery that comes direct out of the emergency room. Urgent, which is planned under 24 hours. And elective, which is planned after 24 hours. Whenever you plan for these surgeries, there's different ways to educate the patient on how to deal with what they just went through and how to deal with the medication that they're given to deal with the pain from their injury and or surgery. So there also goes along with that the overpromising of pain-free. Whenever a doctor gives you pain medicine, you either expect or are told that you're going to have no more pain, and it's just not a realistic thing if you've had any type of surgery to just have completely no pain. So there needs to be an education on how to deal with the pain and when to stop taking your prescription and move into lighter doses of Advil or Tylenol. Another problem is overprescribing. So it's common for a hysterectomy patient to be prescribed 40 pills, but on average they only take 18. So there's a void in knowing how to dispose of your extra pills so they're not left in the cabinet for somebody to take or for you to take later on whenever you're not supposed to be taking them. And also the current education system uses paper pamphlets as the main way to educate them, and it's just outdated and not engaging at all.
So for our solution, we came up with an interactive video that all patients must watch and complete before surgery. It's targeted towards hospitals and outpatient facilities. The content and literature will contain videos and quiz questions throughout, just to make it a little bit interactive and so that the patient's not just watching a video and not actually understanding. We'll go over proper pain management, signs of addiction, how to properly dispose of medication, and then how and where to go.
So for the product differentiation, we chose 3 local hospitals in Indiana, and then our Addiction After Hours program, and then we have 4 different issues that we think the video needs to address. So like Lynsey said, Addiction After Hours is an interactive video that's going to be 5 minutes long, and in that 5 minutes the video will stop and go and have the patient answer questions and make sure that they're fully understanding the video content. And that's the Addiction After Hours is the only person that has that. Next, the Addresses Addiction, Deaconess and St. Vincent, and the Addiction After Hours all address addiction. St. Vincent has a 60-page pamphlet that they give you for pre-surgery planning, and in that pamphlet only one time do they say to take your prescriptions as prescribed on the bottle. So addressing addiction needs to be a main issue that is like more coming forward and talked about. Next, we want to have something that's user-friendly. The Addiction After Hours program is really easy to use and simple, and like Miles was saying, pamphlets and booklets just aren't what people need to look and be interacted with now. And lastly, the interactive questionnaire is only in the Addiction After Hours column as well, because we have a part where after the video you can ask your doctor or nurse questions, and with that it wouldn't be breaking any HIPAA laws or anything, because the Addiction After Hours program would not see the questions, because each patient would be given their first and last name and their birthday as their generic login, and they would only be allowed to be seen by the doctor.
So for the opportunity size, we broke it down to 3 different types of hospitals that would hold a certain amount of beds. Traditionally, it's probably around 200 to 30 beds in a hospital, especially Deaconess per se, but there also are other hospitals that have 100 to 200 beds, and like the bigger hospitals, 300 to 400 beds. We then broke it down to outpatient and inpatient surgeries. So you can see like the top number for outpatient is like over 7,000, and the lowest number for inpatient is right around 1,000. So generically, there's a lot of surgeries happening every single year, which you can see in the total operations per year. So with this relates back to the 2.1 million Americans incorrectly taking those prescriptions. If there's this many surgeries happening per year, that's obviously feeding into the 2.1 million Americans with their prescriptions.
So on our business model, we are using our key partners to also help us segment towards the same partners as being our the hospitals. So like I said, the hospitals, doctors, and pharmacists would help us in our key activities of creating content and increasing our knowledge base. This is the main thing that we need to do in order to segment towards our primary customer, which would also be the hospitals. This would also allow us to create a good piece of content based on the people that we are targeting it towards are actually helping us create it. One way that we could create relationships with our secondary customers is to have a rate your video. At the end of the video, that would allow you to tell you if you were educated, if there's something that wasn't educational or something that wasn't interesting to you, so we can make it better informing for the patient. So our value proposition surrounding all this together is that it's simple and educating while being impactful and user-friendly. Another way that we would use our key partners is that we would partner with a tech company to help us with our marketing, as well as networking with local hospitals, so that we can reach everybody that needs our help. Now I'm going to turn it over to Nick to do the bottom of the business model.
Okay, so some of our key resources will be the media company, the script writer, and our primary and secondary research. Some of our customer channels will include our website and surgery conferences between the doctors and nurses about the questions. And then some of the costs we'll have wrapped up in this will be the making of the video and the personal time and content creation. And then lastly, our revenue, the most important thing, will come from the licensing and payment for the videos to the hospitals.
So our cost profit analysis, initially we would have to create our content, which would be our video and our website, as well as our yearly payments, which would be for our employees to keep the website up to date, doing research, and as well as the networking. And then our revenue would be, to start off, we would get a small business grant from the National Institute of Health that applies to us because we're starting a health-based business. Also, our yearly income would be based on our licensing. So we would have, per month, we would charge $2,000 for less than 500 downloads. And then if you got a yearly subscription of unlimited downloads, you would get for $25,000. And cumulatively on the first year, if we base it off of 12 monthly subscriptions and 2 yearly subscriptions, we would be in the black pretty well.
All in all, we know that there is a need for prescription education in the world, and the Addiction After Hours program is an interactive educational video that is directed towards hospitals and outpatient facilities.
All right.